Hi, and welcome to the VWP. Today's podcast is a special one. Pooja runs this wonderful company called the Love Hope Company.
I personally think healing is a never-ending journey.
Okay.
So falling in love is again an everyday thing, and the more and more you fall in love with yourself, you'll be able to give back love in a much better way. So I think situationship is not just the fear of commitment, but somewhere it's about fear of losing people you love, fear of taking up the responsibility of being in a relationship, and also maybe it comes with the fear of being more vulnerable yourself. Relationship is a lot of work. It's not something that okay, I like you, you like me, and that's not the end of the story. I think you need to keep working on it every single day, and two people coming together, they have their individual journey where the society shapes them, their experiences shape them. At the same time, they need to come together to kind of travel the journey together. So chemistry will create that initial spark, but compatibility is what that decides how long this journey is going to continue. But all we need is to be a little kind to ourselves. Namma love pannalana, I don't think you'll be able to find love outside or the right kind of love outside. You might still keep ending up in all the wrong places, putting up with a lot of wrong things in relationships. So hope pandrathu is the strength that you get when you want to address it and work yourself through it. Toxic positivity is kind of ignoring that whole scenario and then trying to just like move forward.
We've spoken about self-love, we've spoken about family, child love, this community love, the partner love. In today's day and age, when you run a company like this, what is the area of love that is battered most? Hi, and welcome to the VWP. Today's podcast is a special one, and you'll get to know why very soon. Thank you for being on the show, Pooja.
Thank you so much.
I'm going to start with a quick fact checker before we get into the introductions and getting to know you better.
Sure.
Okay. So first one is, we should fall in love only when we are completely healed.
I personally think healing is a never-ending journey.
Okay.
So falling in love is again an everyday thing, and the more and more you fall in love with yourself, you'll be able to give back love in a much better way. And for you to fall in love with yourself, I think healing has to be a parallel journey that you need to take up to. Yeah.
Beautiful. Okay. Boundaries push people away?
I think boundaries make you understand yourself better and attract the right kind of people. And in that process, maybe push the not so right kind of people, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think boundaries just doesn't push people away completely, but maybe help you understand your kind of people over the journey.
Yeah, align with your vibe, sort of a thing. Situationships are an outcome of commitment phobia.
So, I had this conversation recently with someone I know as well. So I think situationship is not just the fear of commitment, but somewhere it's about fear of losing people you love, fear of taking up the responsibility of being in a relationship because it's a lot of work. And also maybe it comes with the fear of being more vulnerable yourself and being more, giving someone else a space to see you for the person you are. So when you want to avoid all this and just have something on a very surface level, that's when I think people who just prefer having situations
than getting into a relationship. Interesting. Right. Dating apps reward detachment.
In a way, yes, because you have a lot of options today. And again, like I said, right, relationship is a lot of work. It's not something that okay, I like you, you like me, and that's not the end of the story. I think you need to keep working on it every single day, and two people coming together, they have their individual journey where the society shapes them, their experiences shape them. At the same time, they need to come together to kind of travel the journey together. So it's a lot of work, but today when you talk about boundaries or these red flags and green flag, it becomes easy terms for people to just break something and just move on for more options. So I think in that way, dating apps gives you a lot of options to keep exploring, which makes you also feel that it's never ending for you to find that one person that you want to come into your life with. Yeah.
Compatibility over chemistry?
I think maybe chemistry is something that sparks the journey for you, where you feel connected instantly with the person. But when it comes to compatibility, I think that's the deal breaker for you to understand if you're on this journey or if this is not for you. So chemistry will create that initial spark, but compatibility is what that decides how long this journey is going to continue for you. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Pooja. Thank you
you.
so much for that. Pooja runs this wonderful company called the Love Hope Company, and she's here to talk to us about her journey and also make us understand a little deeper on love, hope, counseling, and everything that's so necessary today in today's time to understand ourselves better and to live a more fulfilled life. So, welcome again, Pooja.
Thank you. Thank you.
And why don't you take us through your own journey? I think, just like I was telling you before we started, I think, you've been so brave and bold about what you've gone through, about navigating it yourself. So talk to us about that.
So I think my journey or the transformation about my life majorly started after I had my daughter, and I had it at a very early age when I was 22. But I had no clue about life. I had no clue about the responsibility that I was going to take up. When you watch these movies about getting married and having kids, they don't show you the actual side of what it looks like. So I got married when I was 20 years, and I had my daughter when I was 22. I was a very naive kid, like wanting to please everyone, wanting to fit in majorly. Growing up, I had a lot of insecurities about myself for the way I looked. I've been the tallest one amongst my school and college, and I used to be overweight back then. So I constantly felt like people don't appreciate me, people don't value me. Like in schools and colleges, when my friends used to hang out with their boyfriends, I had no one who showed interest on me. So all that feeling, right? So when my family had to arrange marriage for me with someone who looked taller than me, was just the criteria, thinking that okay, if I leave this, I'm not going to get another person
chance
to
or
kind
another
of like
person. Yeah. Okay.
And in terms of love also, I felt like I don't deserve love. Like I felt like okay, maybe I'm not the ideal category of how a girl looks like, so I don't think I would someone would ever love me. So this whole arranged marriage felt like okay, this is what it is. And then after the marriage happened, to fit in into the new family, we had a long age gap between us. So I felt like, okay, I'm the small girl. I don't have any understanding. I don't have any say in anything. So I just kept following whatever was thrown at me. And then my daughter happened. And again, when I got pregnant, I thought, okay, I need to have this child because I fell for the fact that the child would unite the family. I had a very rough marriage.
Okay.
Today I'm divorced. But back then I thought, okay, a child would be a reason for us to maybe get together, understand each other better, or at least just coexist as partners, right? But after I had her is when I think I realized, um, when you feel so burnt out in a relationship, and I've spoken about this to a lot of women, we overshadow it with kindness. Every time when we put up with things, we think that, okay, I'm sacrificing myself for my family. I'm doing this for so and so. I'm doing that for so and so. And somewhere as women, we feel a glory or a satisfaction or a pride that we're doing things for others rather than us. Like even today when we say that, I'm doing this for me, there is a sense of guilt that comes with
absolutely.
it. So
Absolutely.
I also went through that phase back then, right? So beyond a point when I hit postpartum depression after I had my daughter, back then I had no clue about mental health. I had no clue about the word depression. I had no clue about anxiety. In spite of having education in all good schools and good colleges with good exposure, I had no clue what mental health was. So when I went to postpartum depression, where I hit a point where I wanted to end my life, I thought, okay, I'm done. I don't think I can do this. I don't think I deserve this. I felt like I don't think I would do justice for this child, and my whole existence was something that I was not happy about. So that is when there was a day that I went to my mom and I cried to her. I think it should be 1 month after I had my daughter, and I told her, I think I'm done. I don't think I can do this anymore, because there was a lot of judgments and criticism that I was facing through my delivery, through my pregnancy. Although I had a very healthy child, very healthy, normal delivery, I felt like, okay, I'm done. I don't think I could ever satisfy people beyond this. And beyond this, I didn't know what else I need to do. So she was the person who asked me to go talk to a psychologist. And
Mm.
back then I thought psychologists are someone who just give you medication to put you to sleep. Or you need to be mentally retarded to go talk to someone. That was the only understanding about psychiatrists I had. Like, I didn't even know there were two different categories of psychologists and psychiatrists back then.
Understand.
So she saw me suffering over time. So I think she was having these conversations with her friends. But when I told her that I feel like I don't think I could do this anymore, she asked me to go talk to someone. I was furious, and I was like, "You're my mother, and you're also like now blaming me that I have a problem." And then she was like, "You calm down. I feel, there's only so much you could also tell me as a daughter. You might, kind of hide few things from me. So it's better to talk to someone else who could support you. You think about it. If you are ready, we can talk to someone who could refer us to the right person." So I took a week's time, and then I was like, okay, let me just go talk. What's the worst that could happen? Like, you're just going to meet a stranger and just vent out whatever you feel like. So that's how I started my therapy journey. And the first session I went, like, I spoke a lot about all the problems that I went through, how unhappy I was in life. And towards the last 55th minute, I think she paused and she was like, "You have so much clarity on things that are not making you happy, but what is Pooja looking for in life? Like, what are the things that would make you happy?" was the question she asked me. And I had no answer because I was in that victim phase where I was constantly complaining or constantly just focusing on things that were making me unhappy, but I actually didn't know what I wanted.
Understand.
So that one question like made me believe in therapy as a process and made me change up as a person. And over time, I became very consistent with my sessions. And I think through therapy, I explored myself more. I found my voice, and I was able to articulate my feelings better. I was able to tell when something was uncomfortable beyond a point rather than constantly putting up with things. Um, Seeing our grandparents or mothers or things, how women are portrayed in movies, I think we normalize a lot of things ourselves in our head, right? More than someone else coming and telling you that this is how you need to be, we have normalized a lot of stuff. So I had to unlearn a lot of things that way to reach to what I want to become as a person, right? So I enjoyed therapy a lot. So I was very vocal about my experience because when I said I didn't know anything about mental health, I didn't know the good side or the bad side about it.
Correct.
I didn't know about the stigma also.
Correct.
So I was very open about it in social media or when I talked to my friends saying that, I've been going for therapy and this is how it's been helping me. I kind of got like two different kind of responses. Um, First was people were shaming me for taking therapy because they started saying that you come from a very well-to-do family, you're very privileged, you have all kind of resources that can make you happy, you have a child, you're married, like an Instagram perfect life you have at a very young age, and what else could go wrong for you to make you unhappy? Maybe you're not grateful, maybe you're not appreciating the things that you don't have. But that was not my problem, right? My problem was not that I needed this, I needed that. It was just the internal sadness that I was going through that I needed help from. And the other set of people were when I was talking about postpartum experience, when I was talking about like when I knew that psychiatrists and psychologists were different, I spoke about it in social media saying, hey, in today's session, this is what I learned. And I started connecting with a lot of people who were going through similar experiences, but in silence. And this was way back in 2018, right? This was even before COVID, where people hardly spoke about mental health or depression or any of that. So I think that is when I realized, okay, there are so many people going through this. And internally, it gave me a sense of relief that, Hapara, okay, I'm not the only one. So there are people who go through stories, right? So I started meeting people, started understanding what are the challenges that they're going through. And then slowly I started liking this whole field of mental health. So I met a lot of psychologists, a lot of psychology students. I met a 55-year-old child psychologist in 2018. And I was very curious to know that I didn't even know there was something called as child psychology and kids could actually go for therapy. And I wanted to understand what made her choose that as a career. In a country like India, in a city like Chennai, where there's hardly any awareness, what are the kind of people that she's helping out, or people that are reaching out to her? So that was a different world that I was trying to understand, and it was very interesting for me. And I feel like it's a very beautiful thing, right? As humans, just having someone else to sit with you and support you through the journey, and they're literally educated and equipped themselves for you to get that support. And that, why would anyone not want to do that, right? So that is when I started being much more vocal about my experience and also wanting to break this fact that when you come with a lot of privilege, you are supposed to be perfect and happy, right?
Mm.
You can't
Mm.
have it any other way.
Mm.
Or having your financial background as a reason for people to assume you're happy or unhappy, or the successes or the materialistic things that we see outside, especially in today's world, right? With
Absolutely.
these followers numbers or people being famous, celebrities, how you look, how you put yourself out there, but internally how you feel is something we don't talk about.
Yeah.
So being more vulnerable made me feel strong, and I also felt like it was helping people internally. And I think that's how I just picked up as a journey. This is not like a long-term plan saying that I wanted to start a company on mental health over time. It just kept coming to me, and at every phase of my life, I think it helped me grow as a person. And to see that impact on other people's life kind of gave me a purpose over time. So just started going with the flow. So I think that point of pain kind of helped me find my purpose over time.
So it started with just you talking about it,
Yeah.
putting posts out,
Yeah.
finding that people relate to it, etc.
Yeah,
So
there was no plan, there was no business plan, there was no idea of, okay, next 2 months I'm going to do this, 3 years I'm going to do this, 5 years I'm going to do this. Even till date, I don't have a plan.
So you worked with your dad for a bit.
Yes, so I was with my dad earlier. Then I took a break when I was going through my divorce process. Just like any other Indian household, there was a friction within the family, and then I had my daughter, where I had to figure when she was 3, I went into separation for like 3 years, and only last year I got my divorce finalized. So I was going through my personal journey, and parallelly I wanted to. I think Love Hoop was also from a space of creating my identity about what I wanted to be beyond the family name, beyond the name that I come with. Who is Pooja is what I wanted to find out. So I started traveling alone for a bit. I started doing treks. I started doing um, things by myself where I wanted to be comfortable with me. I had a lot of fear. When I separated, I had a lot of fear, not knowing if this was the right decision. As a mother, I didn't know if it was the right decision. Should I still put up with things that were not okay for my daughter? But is that the life I want her to see and grow up? Can I raise my daughter by myself, being financially independent, emotionally independent? Can I do this? So I didn't have any other career option or a backup. So being dependent with my family, how long can I do that? So what are the pros and cons of doing that? So had my own journey internally that I was going through, and it was very, very nasty, that 3 years. Although I came out of my marriage, to kind of find my ground, I went through a darkest phase of my life. I got into extreme anxiety. I was on psychiatric medication. I had major sleep issues. I would hardly sleep for like 2 hours or 3 hours a day. So automatically your body feels very tired. And then all these mental fears and every day facing this society to kind of like come out and even tell people that, I'm separated or I'm single. And I've had bad experiences about people treating me or seeing me in a very different way, constantly thinking that, okay, this girl might be vulnerable, so how can we make use of it? So had a major trust issues about people, right? In terms of what can I say, what can I not say, why is this person talking to me? Kind of to even understand genuine friendships and relationships was very difficult for me. So I think there was the 3 years of my life it was very unsettling, but I think the growth happens that way, right? So it took some time for me to also understand and experience that. And then the idea of starting Love Hope came to me. Like, why not set this up? I think with more awareness of mental health with people after COVID, why not create that space that people want? Why not break the stigma? Because everyone talks about breaking the stigma, but who does it?
Who does it? Who actually goes out and does it is a big thing. Yeah.
And I thought, like, why not? Like, I wanted to use all the advantages that I had in my life to create a space like this for people who are going through issues. Because I think when people say going to therapy is weakness, I really don't understand it, because this is the most bravest or the most courageous act you could do. Like, for you to understand that you need help and you want to get better in spite of going through something in your life, I think it takes a lot of courage.
And you're being kind to yourself. I mean, I think it's the kindest also. I mean, I'll just add one more to that, you're just being kind to yourself by giving you that
And you
Giving
create a
yourself that
huge
space.
impact to the people around you without even knowing. The more
Yeah,
and more you
absolutely.
work on yourself, you get
Absolutely.
better, and you obviously put that out with people around you. And I think that's the most bravest thing you could do.
Absolutely.
And you need to celebrate that. You need to be more open about it. So I wanted to be that example and create a space where people feel empowered to come in here rather than feel like, okay, I have a problem, I'm going to come here,
Yeah.
right? So every step of how we created the whole process of people reaching out to us, or the whole experience that we create here, the kind of therapists that we work with, we were very keen on having that core value where people who come here should feel empowered. So that's why we named the company the Love
I
Hope
love it.
Company, right?
Yeah, I think, for it to being a mental health focused company, I think it's a very refreshing name.
Thank you.
The moment you hear it, you feel
Yeah, that was the whole
energized
idea,
at some
right?
level. Yeah.
Anything that you do, so therapists have their part to play, but from the moment a client comes in to the client leaving our space, from the messages that they get from us, from the content that they see from us, we wanted to make sure we make them believe in life again.
Yeah.
We can't promise them that life's going to be great, but no matter whichever phase of life you are in, all of us are there for you, right?
Yeah.
From the therapist, from the team. Today, you can just walk into Love Hope and talk to our office manager, talk to Daka who's working for us, or talk to any of us about whatever you want. But I can guarantee you that no one's going to judge you. No one's going to say, "Oh, நீங்க இப்படி பண்ணிருக்கலாம், அப்படி பண்ணிருக்கலாம்." இதெல்லாம் ஒரு பிரச்சனை. No one would say that, right? So that's the kind of team we wanted to bring in, more than just the education background or just the. So value was very, very important for me. Because I think end of the day, people just want to talk and people just want
to be
someone
heard.
else to listen.
Somebody has to hear them, and
I don't think we need
there
solutions
is a vacuum
predominantly.
in that.
Yeah, we hardly need solutions. We just want a space to. We have so much thoughts going in our head. We just need to articulate it and let it out of our system, right? So creating that space was the main idea, more than just therapy. So that's how we slowly, from the space, from the look and feel, we see a lot of therapy rooms in like, movies and Hollywood movies where it looks very aesthetic, nice. It looks like a living room where you go sit with a therapist and talk. So we wanted to create that here. Chennai didn't have a space like that. So when I said, when we wanted to break the stigma, we wanted to create that experience where people wanted to at least come in and experience this once, right? So bring in that curiosity, bring in that fresh perspective about mental health. Because post-COVID, I think everyone went into online counseling predominantly.
Yeah.
But I am a pro offline, therapy
and why?
believer. Because I started therapy before COVID, right? So for me to have a person next to me made me open up much better. And when I get emotional, knowing that made me feel much more safe. That okay, that I am with someone and I know that I'm going to be taken care of. I also tried online therapy. That was a little, I couldn't feel connected there. And
yeah, I get it.
Creating that space at your house, even if you have a room, even if you can lock up your room and talk, the constant thought in your head saying, would someone come in, would someone knock the door, or will I be heard outside, or just the space was still a little too unsettling for me at a point. So I thought offline sessions do the magic much more. Like even when you cry for someone to just hand you over tissue.
Absolutely.
Makes a huge difference, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So actually, if I may ask now, after the 3 years of intense pain that you went through, where are you today in your personal space, in terms of acceptance, family acceptance?
A lot has changed over the time, Vilashni. I think when I talk about my family, it took some, I think just like how I went through a journey, they had to go through a journey.
Yeah, we all come from traditional setups.
Exactly.
Patriarchal mind. There's a different sort of a vibe there.
Correct, yeah. So today they're very warm and welcoming towards me. They've accepted me for my decisions. They feel more proud about it today. They took their time to understand things, and I think the fear or the judgment or whatever they went through also came from a good space, right? It's not like they felt like what will happen.
They mean
if
well.
100%.
Yeah.
They did mean well back then as well. Maybe the way they communicated or the way it was taken in for me was also very different. But now, over time, when they see me doing my own thing, when I started Love Hope, no one in the home understood what this was going to be because I was not a psychologist. So they had no understanding. It was a huge investment and I put in all my savings in it. I didn't get help from anyone in my family.
Beautiful.
So all that was, for them, it's like, why do you want to do this? When you have so much of a comfort here, there was a little bit of ego clash. There was a little bit of not understanding what the space is going to do. What if you fail here? What if you lose? Why do you want to do this? So questions like that kept coming, right? So over time, when they saw the kind of impact the space was creating, from their own circle, when people started approaching, when they heard from other people that the kind of impact the space is creating, they slowly started making an effort to understand. I think we needed to get to that space to kind of like, give in equally. And now it's been beautiful. Like last 3 years after my separation, I was living alone with my daughter. So the past 1 year, I've moved back with my parents, and it's
Beautiful.
been, I feel at home now, like, with my daughter, and every day morning seeing my parents having the time with my daughter, and she's like the center of all of our
All the
world. Yeah.
attraction.
I
Yeah.
have 3 other siblings. Right, my brother is in Australia. 2 of my sisters are with me. So
Okay.
now I don't feel like a single parent. I have so much support, so much help, so many people, everyone at home, house help. Everyone like takes care of her as their own, and I don't think I would have gotten this any other way. I feel much more loved. I feel much more accepted, or everything that I was running away from, or I thought that I didn't deserve, has come back to me. I think 3x, 4x than what I could have expected, right? And like I was telling you before we started, after starting Love Hope, my perspective about life changed completely. There was a point where I was also looking life from a very small lens, success at a very small lens, love in a very different lens, acceptance in a very different lens. But I think over time, everything has changed for me. The more I talk to people, the kind of challenges that they go through, the kind of things that they are looking at. We run communities here, so I get to meet a lot of different variety of people. They change your perspective in smallest of the conversation.
Absolutely.
And I think I've been blessed. Over the start point could have been very painful, but I don't think I would have wanted a life any other way, right? For me today, success is very different. Having the right kind of people with you, for you to internally feel satisfied with what you have. It can't, like, money can't buy that for you. No luxury car can get that for you. No house in whichever part of the world that you want can buy that for you if you don't feel internally happy. So I think I started understanding what happiness was for me. And once I understood it, I felt more settled with life. And I felt everything that I didn't get, or everything that I felt that I didn't deserve, came back to me in much
bigger
ways. Yeah.
I think our life is all about, seeking an identity for ourselves.
Yeah.
When I hear you, I think that all that struggle that you went through was to seek out what you were born for, or what was that core within you that was resonating. So
I think finding that purpose was very important, right? Because growing up, I always thought my life was going to be after school and college, I'm going to get into my family business. I'll just take care of the family business. I'll have a comfortable life. I will get married to someone. I'll have children. So this was my perception about life. I knew I would always be working, but I always felt it was going to be in a very comfortable zone. But today, when I've created an identity for myself, or when I've created my own voice, which makes me feel content and happy, I don't think I would have gotten this satisfaction any other way. Absolutely. So today I've again stepped back into my family business the last year. And when when all of us got into a space of understanding each other, respecting each other. So today I'm no more into my family business because I'm my dad's daughter, but I have created a voice, that I have created a value there to an extent. And when people look at me very differently today, the conversations we have today are very different. Like there have been days much earlier when I was going through my separation, every other conversation they would bring up this topic saying, "Ema, appa feel pandare, konja adjust panikkalam, kuழந்தை இருக்கு." Like, randomness of people will come and have those conversations, which made me feel uncomfortable. And I can't even go tell them that, hey, this is not none of your business. I had to still listen. I'll be like, yeah, correct. And I didn't want to put my ex-husband down, or over-explain myself about the whole situation. I didn't want to play the victim constantly. All I did was kept quiet, but then it gets to you beyond a point, right? It gets to you actively. So which is why I stepped down from all of that. I cut away from all the spaces where I felt like I had to over-explain myself. So if they had to look at me from a long lens, I accepted that. If I had to be the bad person here, it didn't bother me anymore. I would rather be that than to take up a lot of things consistently where I hear people saying, you could have done this, you could have done that, right? So once I stepped back, when I did all of this, today the very same people, or anyone who talks to me, who I meet, look at me very differently, talk to me about very different. Today, it's just like a very past story. No one even talks about it. No one even acknowledges it.
You make a very, very important point here. Actually, it's okay to, temporarily possibly burn some bridges or whatever to focus on your self-care
Yeah.
and then go back to the very same environment for a higher level of acceptance.
Yeah, I think this whole victimhood, right?
Yeah.
You need to get out of it. I don't think there was a long time where I thought like people would understand the pain I was going through. People should understand like I was 25 when I was separated. 25 having a 3-year-old, the world should be kind to me. They should understand my pain. Why isn't this person understanding me? Why is this person coming and talking to me? Was the mindset I had. But the moment I stopped doing that, and the moment I was tired being the victim, and I was like, I'm done being the victim. Like if I'm the bad person here, it's completely fine. If I had done 10 things wrong, and if you feel like I could have done ABC correct and everything in this life would have changed, I didn't have the bandwidth. And I know internally I changed, and I tried, and I didn't want to explain myself beyond a point, because no matter how much ever I share about experiences or what happened, people always kept finding fault.
There will always be two perspectives, no?
Yeah.
In any conversation, there's going to be some.
And I think
yeah.
even during my whole divorce process, every time we had a lawyer meeting, over time I felt I would have a version of the story. The other person would have the version of the story. And the truth is going to be completely different, definitely, right? And this perspective also came for me once while this journey was happening. There was a day when I was sitting and watching the movie Virumandi. That movie hit me hard. In fact, changed my whole perspective towards divorce and how I approached divorce also. So that entire movie is about a scenario from different perspectives, and then there'll be truth from your audience perspective, right? So I felt that is how life is. For me, I'm always going to be right in my situation. I'm not going to
absolutely.
know
I mean,
my
we
flaws,
are right in our situation.
Yeah. And for the other person, it's obviously going to be the same. And especially when you're in a space where you don't like each other, no one's going to think for the other person, right?
Yeah.
So there's no point of me constantly trying to make the other person think that I'm right at my stand, or for me to make an effort to understand the other person, because we are here to literally talk about parting ways.
Yeah.
There's no point of making an effort anymore. And we took a long time to also come to that part. So we just want to get things done amicably because we have a child. So whatever was best for her was my priority in terms of discussion, and not about I'm right, you're right. Again, if I had to be the bad person there, I was fine with it. I was like, yeah, I'm doing this for this. Yes, I'm wrong. And the more and more I started like making them feel like they had the power in that space, I think things kind of yeah. So I was like, yaar proof pandro, who are we doing this for? Who's going to come and give me a certificate saying that, yeah, you have done this, you've gone through this, nothing is going to change anyways. Whatever's happening is anyways happening. So I think that changed my perspective, and I started I think I was holding too many things in my hand and carrying the weight, not knowing what to do. Or a point in my life, I started letting go of things.
No, makes you so sorted. That
Yeah.
sorted feeling is
it's incredible because like I think I understood no matter what you do, whatever's going to happen or whatever's meant to happen is going to happen. There are things that is definitely beyond your control. I got into spirituality a lot. I surrendered myself to nature a lot through trekking. I used to be a very lazy person, but the moment I started trekking, every time I trek, it gave me a different high, different perspective about life. You start appreciate the smallest things. A lot of reflections that happen to you about like the places that I went were like in Uttarakhand or Himachal, where people lived with the basicest of things. And Angapai, when you go meet people, how they look at life, how they appreciate things with the smallest of things that they have. And when you come back, you have so much of luxury and privilege, and you want to complain about one small thing. And today, when I think about, like I said, like 10 years ago, the things that matter to me as a huge thing, people don't even talk about it today. It hardly comes to my head. Like, you know, sometimes when
even 1 year, like we sometimes have to think about the last year, you know.
Exactly. So, I think we as people change, right? Like last year, the person who Pooja was, and this year is completely different. Her ideas, her thought process, the way she functions, everything is different. And last year, would I know that I would be this? Obviously, no. So today, I know that next year something better is going to happen or something different is going to happen. So although you go through the highs and low phases, I don't hold on to it as much as how I used to be. And that is what I keep telling people also. When someone feels low for whatever reasons, and at that moment you feel like your life is going to end, or this particular incident is just going to change everything, and you feel so helpless, but you will always find a way. It may not be the way that you want it to be, it may not be the way that you plan things to be, but it will keep, life would keep giving you answers, it will keep giving you experiences for the greater good. 5 years later, 10 years later, it wouldn't matter, right?
Yeah.
Like I said, 10 years
Yeah.
ago, 2016, I got married. 2026, that entire chapter is over. No one talks about it. I don't feel anything about it. Single parenting, divorced, all those labels don't even matter to me. Half of, or 90% of the people that I have in my life have no clue about what happened back then until and unless I go and tell them. So everything has changed. But would Pooja in 2018 or 2020, if anyone would have gone and told her that, hey, 5 years mato, be patient, things will change? Now, obviously, I wouldn't. At that point, I felt like my life was like all falling apart.
5 years is a long time. Yeah.
And I think that is also a way why, in a way, I like astrology, right? Because every time you go and talk to them, Feb sariyado, March sariyado, April at the time உங்களுக்கு sariyadum சொல்லும்போது ஒரு குட்டி குட்டி hope they give you, but when you look at it over time, you would have dealt by it by yourself, and new things will keep coming out, right? So beautiful. I think life is beautiful like that when you start looking at it this way.
But very beautiful, Pooja. Love you for all that you've stood up for, and for whatever you're doing today. I think in the next section, what we'll do is that we'll pick up the three, at least the two: love, hope, and let's kind of delve onto some of the topics I thought I wanted clarity on. Okay. One important thing that you said much ahead, I think many girls or many kids would have gone through when they were growing up, is I don't deserve love.
Yeah.
Or, I'm not good enough to have a boyfriend or a girlfriend or whatever it is. So where does self-love, where does it begin? How do we start looking at ourselves a little more compassionately?
Honestly, it should start from household. I think with the way, because for us in the society, the model is the households that we come from, right? How people talk to you about yourself, how people make you feel, is the way you reflect about how you like, and then you start modeling it to the people outside, and then your whole journey in the society happens. But number in our country, unfortunately, even they don't know that. It's not like your parents wanted to put you down. It's not like they didn't want to appreciate you. It's not like they wanted you to feel bad about yourself. But they grew up like that, right? They didn't get that while they were growing up. Ipo inniki we can sit, or today my daughter can come and talk to me about, she's 7 years, she comes and talk to me about liking a guy in her class. Back then I couldn't have. Until my college, even after college, if I had gone and told my mom that I like this guy, so that was the household we grew up in. And why my mother reacted in a way was because that was how she was raised, and they were scared about us meeting guys, and what if things go wrong. So கோபப்படுறது, திட்டுறது, அடிக்கிறது was the factor how they showed love or discipline. Like they always thought, for the greater good, this is good for my child. But today, the way we parent our kids are very different. We're trying to understand them. We're trying to communicate things with them. We're trying to make meaningful time for them. So I think generationally that transformation happens. But self-love in a very healthy way, I think, happens at home. அப்படி இல்லைன்னா over time, again, when people get into therapy or when life happens for them, you'll have to do the reverse engineering to kind of be kind to yourself, let go of things that you heard. I think also to stop comparing yourself, stop looking up to all these models and celebrities and movie stars to think that, okay, இப்படி இருந்தாதான் this is beauty. Beauty or redefinition had to change, because I've also met people who are extremely beautiful outside, but internally, avungalukku irukra jealousy or ego, or even how unhappy they are with their bodies, where they constantly have to keep doing something to themselves for them to feel good about it. So, and the insecurities na paakumbodhu, I understood that, okay, no one's happy. No one's, I'm perfect and yaarkume innikku thonadu. But all we need is to be a little kind to ourselves.
Absolutely.
நம்மள லவ் பண்ணலன்னா, I don't think you'll be able to find love outside, or the right kind of love outside. You might still keep ending up in all the wrong places, putting up with a lot of wrong things in relationship. Abuse இருக்கலாம், verbally, like when someone is putting you down constantly. ஒரு சில படங்களை பார்த்தா, again we normalize it, saying, okay, boyfriend என்ன திட்டலாம், அடிக்கலாம், this is a form of love. Like we've seen movies like Arjun Reddy, which normalizes things like that, right? So இது எல்லாமே எனக்கு இது not, it doesn't work out for me into the how will you understand is only when you value yourself.
So if you have to give like a 5-pointer or a 3-pointer on self-love, what will it be? Like, how can you what is it in a person that you will observe? Like if someone is coming, they're deprived of self-love, now how will you identify?
It's actually very difficult. Another you might look the most confident person in this room and also feel very bad inside. It's very, very difficult until a person opens up about it and openly says that this is how you feel, which is why being kind to everyone is important.
Mm.
Whether person is deprived of love or if they're very confident, if they love themselves, I think as fellow human beings, being kind to each other is very, very important. And sometimes அவங்களுக்கு என்ன go through பண்றாங்கன்னு தெரியாமலே they might be going through things. அப்போ போய் நம்ம அட்வைஸ் பண்றோன்ற பேர்ல when we say things, எனக்கெல்லாம் வந்து when I was young, when guests used to come home, I used to be like starving myself. டயட்ன்ற பேர்ல வந்துட்டு குவான்டிஃபை பண்ணி ஒரு ஹாஃப் கப் சூப் ஒரு 2 கேரட்ல அதுல இந்த சைஸ் நான் சாப்பிடணும் அந்த மாதிரிலாம் பண்ணி ஐ யூஸ் டு பி தட் கெஸ்ட் கம் ஹோம் தே ஈட். அவங்களுக்கு ப்ராப்பர் ஃபீஸ்ட் இருக்கும். ஒரு பாயிண்ட் ஐ காட் யூஸ் டு சரி ஓகே நம்ம சாப்பிடக்கூடாது அவங்க சாப்பிட்டோம்னு சொல்லும்போது தே சிட் அண்ட் தே கிவ் மீ அட்வைசிங் யூ ஷுட் நாட் ஈட், நீ காலேஜ் ஒர்க் அவுட் பண்ணணும் இது பண்ணணும்னு சொல்லும்போது வரவங்க போறவங்களாம் நம்ம this is the only thing they talk about. They don't talk about I was good at dance, I was good at a lot of other things, I was good at public speaking, I was never scared of doing things on stage. School வந்து I think from 7th standard every year I was in a leadership role. அதெல்லாம் யாருமே பேச மாட்டாங்க, அதெல்லாம் யாரும் அக்னாலேஜ் பண்ண மாட்டாங்க. அப்படியே இருந்தாலும் அதெல்லாம் ஓகே பட் நீ ஒல்லியா இருந்தா இந்த பரதநாட்டியம் ட்ரெஸ் உனக்கு இன்னும் நல்லா இருந்திருக்கும்லாம் வந்து பேசுவாங்க. So that one word they would just say it and they would leave.
Yeah, but it'll linger in you for a
in
much,
my head,
much
I
longer time.
stopped doing Bharatanatyam from I think my 11th standard because someone made a statement like this. I loved the art form. எனக்கு வந்து ரொம்ப ரொம்ப பிடிச்ச விஷயம் dancing. அதுல இந்த traditional Bharatanatyam வந்து was very very close to my heart, but I felt I was able to express myself through that art. I could be different characters and I could play that character, which was very fascinating for me and I really enjoyed. And also knowing a lot about your history and culture was very nice for me.
Yeah.
நிறைய ஸ்டேஜ் பெர்ஃபார்மன்ஸ்லாம் பண்ணியிருக்கும்போது this one comment from a very random person who came to the show who said everything is nice, you were very expressive, everything was good, but I think if you were like பார்க்கறதுக்கு இருந்தா இந்த மாதிரி outfits வந்து would look better அப்படின்னு சொல்லும்போது it shattered my confidence.
Absolutely.
I stopped doing the classes, I stopped going because எப்படியும் ஒரு நாள் ஸ்டேஜ் பெர்ஃபார்மன்ஸ் பண்ணும்போது I didn't feel comfortable doing that, but over time I had to work on myself. And right before I had my daughter, நான் 4th standard Bharatanatyam practice பண்ணி I think 10th I stopped. After my marriage, before I had my daughter, I did my Arangetram. So it was a long journey for me to work on myself, for again for me to feel, sorry, okay, let me do this again. And then I tried doing it. And post having my daughter, I again obviously gained weight, but still I did a stage show. And அதெல்லாம் வந்து அந்த inner child க்கு கொடுக்கிற ஒரு validation மாதிரி.
Yeah.
So I think you can never understand if a person is deprived of love, deprived of self-love, if they're going, whatever they're going through in life. I don't think you can just look at them and identify. That's one thing about even in the dysfunction depression na solvangala. So they will be highly functional as normal people. They go to work, they look absolutely normal, but they might be now when I was taking medication for anxiety, external world no one would have known. I was doing everything. Now I was working, I was trying to create this, I was traveling, I was doing everything, but no one in my circle except for the one or two people that I eventually opened up saying I was
I'm having a problem.
no one had
would
idea
have
about it.
ever known.
Yeah. So which is why I feel that being kind to people is very 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 important. இது வந்து நம்ம unfortunately நம்ம இவ்ளோ எக்ஸ்பிளைனே பண்ணக்கூடாது as humans. I think it should come naturally for us, but unfortunately we are in this space. We're so constantly running behind something or the other. Phoneல இருக்கோம். இப்போ நான் last week when I was in Spain, one beautiful thing I was able to observe is there were hardly people using their phones when they sit together for dinner. வெளில உட்கார்ந்து பேசுறாங்க, chat பண்றாங்க, they bring their dogs for walk. It was nice to have that, to slow down, being present in that space and kind of getting to know each other. And every or small conversation can break a person. A smallest thing that you can say can also give hope to a person. So it's just about what you choose to be as a person. And to do that, I think you need to have a lot of love for yourself to give that out. Otherwise, it'll be very, very difficult. Yeah.
Absolutely. So actually, there is also this, when we talk about self-love, it also means you prioritize yourself, you give yourself time, what your needs are, etc. Sometimes it is perceived as a certain degree of selfishness, around us. So what is the line drawn between self-love and selfishness?
I don't think being selfish should be looked up as a bad thing, as long as you don't harm the other person or you don't do anything bad for the other person, right? self-love will be seen as a selfish act because we're not used to it. We're not used to it. Today my mom is 50 years, 51. So அவங்க 50 hit ஆனோடனே the way she looked at life changed completely. அவங்களுக்கு காலையில ஒரு 2 hours is extremely important for her. She works out and she started traveling. She started being part of these communities for yogas and அங்க பண்ற retreats, because all her life I've always seen my mother sacrificing things for her 4 children and for her husband. And after I had my daughter, it was my daughter for her. அவங்களுக்குன்னு எதுவுமே பண்ணி நான் ஃப்ரெண்ட்ஸ் கிடையாது அவங்களுக்கு பெருசா. அவங்களோட சோஷியல் சர்க்கிளுமே வந்து people who through us or through my father was her social circle. When she turned 50, something changed in her where she put herself first. I think that was, and she's so much happier as a person now. She's so much content as a person now. இப்போ ரீசெண்டா வந்து அவங்க இன்ஸ்டாகிராம் நேம கூட நான் மாத்தி விட்டேன், ஃபிட் பார்ட்டி ஆனந்தி அப்படின்னு மாத்தி விட்டேன், because she got so much into fitness. And I said, yeah, like put yourself out there like that, you know, like you don't have to feel shy, live your life. She's so happy. இன்னைக்கு வந்து அவங்க கிட்ட நீங்க என்ன வேணா பேசலாம், என்ன வேணா சொல்லலாம். For her sleep is important, her morning routine is important. அது என் பொண்ணுக்கா இருந்தாலும் she won't let go of it. And I said, don't, be that way. காலைல ஸ்கூலுக்கு அவ போனா we'll figure someone, when I'm traveling, if I'm not wrong, we'll figure something out, but don't cut your classes. Do things that make, she runs marathon. 10K marathon போறாங்க. இன்னைக்கு வந்து வேற வேற ஊர்ல என்ன நடக்குதுன்னு எல்லாத்துக்குமே she'll be updated. Like she's watching movies regularly. வீட்ல உட்கார்ந்து OTTல வந்து ஒரு படமும் பார்த்துட்டு, she's well read, she's well informed. The conversations with her, or she's very happy to be around. Like avangaloda that makes me also like happy. Or friend ah pesa mudiyudhu enala avangita sirichito like kindle panito everything. She, as a mother, she also went through her journey, like seeing me going through my phase, or my dad with his business, his health. Elathme, she, like, as women we always feel that
you have to hold the ship. You have to, you know, keep the whole thing going, especially when it's being created.
And I think she's doing a much better job now, more than ever, right?
Because all the anxiety, all the anger, all the frustration will be slowly weaning off.
She's able to surrender things to the universe. Now she's like, unak nadakradhu nadakum, nalladhu nadakum, we'll just like leave it to the universe. Enkta pesumodhu adha solranga, munadila vandittu yen unga appa appadi pannala, yen unakku idu nadakudhu, yen appdin pesra idhe amma இன்னைக்கு வந்து you'll be fine. I don't know what that fine is. And when I hear it from her, it gives
feels
me
very
a
reassuring.
ஒரு strength கொடுக்குது எனக்கு. I'm like, correct, ஆமால இவ்ளோ பார்த்துட்டோம், this will also be fine அப்படின்றது. So for her to also get to that phase, and the self love என்ற விஷயம் வந்து she had to go through it. But initial stages of her doing this, எங்க அப்பாக்கே அது வந்து ஏன் அவ சடனா அதெல்லாம் பண்றா, அவருக்கு ஒரு பாயிண்ட் மேல ஏன் why is so for my dad that morning time with my mom is very important. அது வந்து ஒருவேளை அவர் அன்னைக்கு கொஞ்சம் லேட்டா எந்திரிச்சிட்டாருன்னா she'll go to her workout routine. For him, that having a tea with her or seeing her in the morning and telling her what his entire day was like the previous day, or எங்க ஊர்ல இருந்தாலும் காலையில அந்த ஊர் டைம்க்கு he'll call my mom, ஒரு good half an hour conversation, he'll tell about இவங்கள பார்த்தா இது நடந்துச்சு இந்த ஊர்ல எப்படி இருக்கு. The சின்ன வயசுல that's one habit that I've seen my parents go through. Sanda potalo, whatever happens, this conversation will exist.
Yeah, even for, you know, there'll be a morning coffee where all the gossip, whether we want it or not, will be exchanged.
எல்லாத்தையும் பத்தி he'll talk. My mom listens a lot. Or அவங்க வந்து ஒரு மாதிரி ஏதாவது சொல்லுவாங்க எங்க அப்பாக்கு, சரி இது சரியாயிடும். So for him that was like a boost for him, right? And the 50 years ஆன when my mom started having her own workout routine, she set a boundary saying, if you want to talk to me 6:30 வரைக்கும் உங்களுக்கு டைம் இருக்கு, 5:30 to 6:30, 6:30க்கு ஒரு 7 மணிக்கு மேல I'll have to leave ன்றது. Initially it was like, நானே எனக்கு அச்சுதா பேசுறேன், உங்க அம்மா பாரு இப்படி பண்றா அப்படி பண்றான்னு யோசிச்சிட்டு. Now he is starting to understand that என்னால என் வைஃப் வந்து காலையில வந்து this is the time that I have, I need to make time ன்ற ஒரு zone he's come into.
Beautiful.
So it's nice, like, you know,
it's a process.
Yeah, and it's important that we all do this, especially women, because we've never done this. In the generation, I don't think this was a normal practice that we have. And right now, even for our generation, it's an effort that we have to make. Maybe for the upcoming generation, or maybe for my daughter's generation, that'll be a very natural thing for them to say that I need my space, I need my whole thing.
I think they'll be born with a different perspective. Yeah, but
that should come from a space of not thinking that my mom didn't do that, and that is why I think I'm going through this. But rather than saying that my mom did this, and
so I know this is important for me, and hence I should do it.
Yeah. So I think when my mom changed her routine or the way she was living her life, it inspired me a lot.
Absolutely.
Right? And like I said, and the guilt factor nambalukku irukum as girls or as women, that number can we do things for ourselves. Enake adu started slowing down after looking up at her, and and in turn we are able to give back in a much better way.
Absolutely.
So self-love, I
Absolutely.
think, is the most important
Most
thing when
critical
you,
part in
yeah,
this.
most important.
As we grow up, no, we carry very broken versions of ourselves into the world, right?
Yeah.
So in some form and shape. And these days, increasingly, they attribute it to the childhood trauma, the childhood, what. And you've very beautifully spoken about snippets of it already also. My question to you is, what is emotionally safe love for a child? How can you define that?
I think the most emotionally safe space for a child is to just create an authentic one. It's not to be perfect. It's you can't say that கோவமே வராத ஒரு அம்மாவை என்னால இருக்க முடியுமானா முடியாது. Although I say all of this, I will have my moments. But am I going and talking to her about it? Am I apologizing in spaces that I need? Or am I putting my ego in the front? Or am I using the term mother as a power where I feel like I can do whatever I want. I don't have to explain myself. That is the problem, right? Parenting la perfection irukka koodadu. Perfect. There can't be perfection, right? You fail, you make mistakes. But how do you communicate that with your child? At the same time, you need to discipline them. At the same time, you need to raise them as kind individuals. Because unfortunately, at Love Hub and we see a lot of parents bringing in their kids. அவங்க கைண்ட்னஸ்க்கும் டிசிப்ளினுக்கும் ஒரு லைன் தெரியாம they given beyond a point where kids treat their helpers in a very bad way. Parents கிட்ட அவ்வளவு ரூடா பிஹேவ் பண்றாங்க, அடிக்கிறாங்க. ஃபெலோ கிட்ஸோட they can't
interact with
இப்போ ஒரு
normally.
குழந்தை வந்து சாக்லேட் கேட்டு ஒரு குழந்தை கொடுக்க மாட்டேன்னு சொன்னா அவங்களால டீல் பண்ண முடியல. உடனே அவ்வளோ tantrums, அவ்வளோ கோவம். Parents are struggling these days to understand what is gentle parenting and how do I parent my child. You can be friendly with your child. You can't be a friend to your child at it. Being a parent is very, very different, right?
True.
So how do you understand that? How do you draw a line? So idukku dhaan vandu I think we need to keep educating ourselves more. Because I think இப்போ இருக்க generation vandu we know what not to do with our experience. But what to do ன்றது வந்து there is so much of information available today.
Information overload.
என்ன பண்றோம் நமக்கு தெரியாது. And இப்போ இருக்க generation பாத்தீங்கன்னா there are different styles of parenting or different family types. Single parenting இருக்கலாம், or both the partners or parents working, being raised by nannies these days. So nannies கிட்ட எப்படி உங்களோட வேல்யூஸை வந்து நீங்க டிரான்ஸ்லேட் பண்ணுவீங்க? nannies மாறிக்கிட்டே இருப்பாங்க. being raised by grandparents. அவங்க ஜென்ரேஷனும் உங்க ஜென்ரேஷனுக்கும் இப்போ வர ஜென்ரேஷனுக்கும் how do you sit
kind
together and
it,
educate it?
Blend
Because
it,
நம்மளுக்கே when we are unlearning a lot of things, for us to tell them that and for them to unlearn, it's very, very difficult. So இவ்வளோ challenges face பண்ற ஒரு generation தான் இப்போ இருக்கிற parenting, which is very, very difficult definitely. But I think putting that effort to understand and constantly learn, and for us to also accept that we are going to mess things up. We can't be perfect parents. நம்ம அப்பா அம்மா எப்படி தப்பு பண்ணாங்களோ அந்த தப்பை மேபி நம்ம பண்ண மாட்டோம். But we will have our own set
make a new set of mistakes.
But
own it up. Own it up,
Exactly.
have honest conversations,
that's
and have
the only thing.
boundaries on kindness and discipline. I think
Exactly.
that's a very important one.
But I think most parents are functioning in a very anxious space of wanting to be a perfect parent. நாளைக்கு என் குழந்தை வந்து என்னை பத்தி தெரப்பியில பேசிடக்கூடாது. I should not create a bad space for my child. The intent is fine, but
execution
not possible,
is not possible. It's not humanly possible.
It's not possible for any of them. யாரா இன்னைக்கு இருக்கிற the best parent expert நீங்க எடுத்தாலுமே அவங்க குழந்தை கிட்ட பேசுங்க, they might have something to say that my mother or father is not, I'm unhappy with certain spaces of parenting. So that is going to be there. But how do you create the space for them to come to you when something is not okay? How do you create a space for them to come and tell you that this நீங்க சொன்னது எனக்கு hurt ஆச்சு, instead of them channelizing it in a very different way or taking it outside the house to kind of understand or just let that emotion out. இல்லனா நம்ம focus பண்ண முடியும். But otherwise also as a practice, I think for this generation it's very important for us to create a safe space beyond home, beyond families, for the children, for them to explore themselves, express themselves more. It could be art, it could be workout, it could be therapy, but in the conventional kind of, in the education, in the classes, இதெல்லாம் தாண்டி they need to have a space where they feel like they're exploring themselves more. I think that's very, very important for this generation.
Yeah, lot of it is being spoken as boredom. Give them periods of boredom where they do nothing, where they they just kind of have the space to think through. It's very important,
definitely.
So when we as we grow up and we carry a certain personality of ourselves into the world, right? So there are certain things that vibe, certain things that don't vibe. and hence we attract a certain set of people to us,
Mm.
and some we just over a period of time falls off. So is there a in science, is there an emotional intelligence that you can apply to choose the kind of people we want to hang out with instead of learning it the hard way? It's a very convoluted question.
I wish there was. But நிறைய தப்பான இடத்துல ஒரு தப்பான ஆளுங்களோட இருக்க தான் we'll actually understand what is the right thing we want. நம்ம டைரக்டா கரெக்டான விஷயத்துக்குள்ள போனா ஒண்ணு we won't appreciate it as much, or we won't know இதுதானா இல்ல இதுக்கு மேல எனக்கு ஏதாவது வேணுமா அப்படின்றது. Be it relationships, friendships, anything, right? The work, your career choices. நிறைய நீங்க எக்ஸ்ப்ளோர் பண்ண தான் you will know what is making you unhappy or not, what is not making you feel like ஒரு purpose இல்ல அப்படின்ற மாதிரி தோணுதுல. When you do a lot of be in a lot of spaces that is making you feel uncomfortable is when you understand
So
what
you
is it.
grow when you're uncomfortable. So that is an essential part of your growth
growth
journey.
only happens when you're uncomfortable. If you're very comfortable in your life, you're not growing, right? So it's up to you to decide if you want to grow or if you're happy with what you have. There is no right or wrong way in it.
So every wrong relationship, every maybe a wrong career choice, everything is growth.
Definitely, it teaches you a lot, right?
Teaches you
Every
a
failure definitely teaches you a lot, provided the perspective you look at it. நான் இதுல என்ன கத்துக்கிறேன்னு ஒரு பாயிண்ட்ல யோசிக்க ஆரம்பிச்சீங்கன்னா நிறைய கத்துப்பீங்க. எனக்கு ஏன் இது நடந்துச்சுன்னு அந்த ஒரு பாயிண்ட்ல இருந்தோம்னா you will not see that
You will
out
not
at all.
have to
And you will constantly
say that.
put yourself in the similar situations eventually. The moment you pause and step out and see like, okay, இதெல்லாம் எனக்கு what is it that made me feel uncomfortable or unhappy, if you take relationships for that matter, ஏன் எனக்கு இந்த பர்சனோட இருக்க முடியல, what didn't work out for me ன்னு சொல்லும்போது you will come up with a set of things which makes you understand you more than the other person.
Essentially, there's no other way. I mean, I like
There's
that
no other
fact
way,
that there is no other way, and and it is a learning opportunity if we
Definitely.
start looking at it. If we remove ourselves from the victim situation in each of this. So with all the changing dynamics now, Pooja, has marriage as a concept, has the meaning that it had earlier faded away in this current generation?
If you talk about the current generation, yes, but for me, no.
Okay.
I think இப்போ இந்த ஜெனரேஷன் தான் வந்து a lot of people are standing up for what is right and what is wrong. So you see a lot of marriages breaking. So for the current generation, it might look as a fear factor that they think that கல்யாணம் பண்ணா divorce ஆயிடும் அப்படின்ட்டு. But earlier generation, the reason why they got married were very, very different. I think today's generation, they have that space, they have that understanding or the freedom to decide who they want to get married to. And even if they getting married to someone and it's not working out, I think Iporka generation is way more respectful about separation. At least the number of people that you go through. Munadi mari, not all divorces are nasty, right? So I think that is a huge transition. I don't think marriage as a concept is wrong, but marrying because you're in your late 20s, or marrying because you need someone to take care of you financially, marrying because you want to have a child with someone. அந்த மாதிரி எதுக்கு கல்யாணம் பண்றோம்ன்றது is very important. It should be more about the decision of wanting to spend a life with someone for as long as you want to, right? Do you see yourself with someone or 10 years down the line, 20 years down the line? Do you see both of you growing together as people? You have your own values. The other person might have your own values. Do you respect each other for that? Do you find middle ground? Are you willing to put in the effort every single day to make sure this keeps going? These are the factors that you need to think about making a decision of marriage. In the decision of marriage could happen when you're in 50, when you're in 40, when you're in 30, when you're in 20, that doesn't matter. But this should be the factor that is wanting you to decide marriage, rather than you thinking that I understand older generations saying that, I mean, எனக்கு இப்போ இருக்க personal experience பார்த்தீங்கன்னா I'm hitting 30 this year. So I'm very comfortable being this way. So எனக்கு வந்து இப்போ if I have to bring in a partner in my life, it's going to be a lot of effort. இதை வந்து நான் அண்டர்ஸ்டாண்ட் பண்ணி அக்செப்ட் பண்ணி அந்த எஃபர்ட் போட ரெடியா இருந்து if I find someone, then marriage is on the cards. Not because எனக்கு ஒரு குழந்தை இருக்கு, எனக்கு 30 வயசு ஆக போகுது, I want another child, what will the world think of me, will I die of loneliness? That cannot be the reason, right? So I think marriage is a very beautiful thing, and I have a couple of friends who have very good healthy marriages, who have been in marriage for like 12 years, 13 years, 15 years. எனக்கு வந்து after my divorce or while I was in my separation, I was also like that. I hated the concept of marriage. I kept saying that ஒரு கவர்மெண்ட் பேப்பர் எப்படி ரெண்டு பேரும் ஒண்ணா இருக்க வைக்கணும், கல்யாணம் பண்ணி தான் ரெண்டு பேர் வந்து ஒரு கமிட்மெண்ட்குள்ள எதுக்கு போகணும், it should naturally be there. Yes, that is how a relationship works. Commitment, respect, all of that, whether you're married or whether you're not married, it's a personal choice. But I don't think marriage as a concept is bad where you have to completely run away from it. It's just about how you look at it. And the more and more I spoke to them, அவங்க எப்படி அந்த டிரான்சிஷன் எடுத்துட்டு போறாங்க. 13 வருஷம் ஒரு ஆளோட, 20 வருஷம். லைக் ஐ ஹாவ் அ ஃப்ரெண்ட் ஹூ ஹாஸ் டேட்டட் this person from her college days. They got married, they have a beautiful family, and they're in the 40s now, mid 40s la irukanga. So her entire life, her entire she's been more with her partner more than her parents, right?
Yeah.
So that's how she's in idila ana vandu. When I talk to them more personally, I was scared of relationships, I was scared of marriages. So அதை பத்திலாம் நான் பேசும்போது every time when my friends say why aren't you seeing someone, you need to move forward சொல்லும்போது I talk to them saying எனக்கு இதுக்கு மேல I don't think I have the capacity to go through another heartbreak, or this is more comfortable for me சொல்லும்போது, when they talk about their experiences, all the mistakes that they did, how each other were able to forgive, there was always a phase where they also had questions of, do I need to continue this, do I need to break the marriage? But the efforts that two people put in together to forgive each other, to grow with each other, to respect each other, to give space for each other when they need it, instead of just like imposing their own thoughts, that was very beautiful. And the process keka I felt like, இப்படிதானே இருக்கணும். What's the point of having a partner if you don't have this? It can't be perfect. It should not be perfect. It'll become boring for you beyond a point. And marriage is just one part of it, right? மேரேஜ் நம்ம ஓவர் க்ளோரிஃபையும் பண்ண தேவையில்ல. மேரேஜ் வந்து நம்ம ஒரு தப்பான அங்கே போனாலே அது பிரச்சனை யோசிக்கவும் ஐ டோன்ட் திங்க் தேர்ஸ் எனி. மேரேஜ் இஸ் பார்ட் ஆஃப்.
So it just needs to happen organically.
Absolutely. I think இப்போ இருக்கிற ஜென்ரேஷன் தான் our women were very financially independent. They have their own set of things to do. வெறும் வந்து ஒரு இன்லாஸ் பார்க்கறதும், ஹஸ்பண்டை பார்க்கறதும், குழந்தைங்களை பார்க்கறதை தாண்டி they build life. So it might be a shock for a lot of previous generation people. So how do you set that values there? How do you say that this is what it is? அங்க வந்து அந்த women ஷேம் பண்ணாம, அந்த women அந்த குடும்பத்தை பார்க்க மாட்டேங்கிறாங்க, making that look like as though it's a sin that they don't illama. How do you respect the
whole
choice?
thing that has to come about?
And today, like, you know, a lot of women decide to not have children, or they might go through any fertility issues or any other conditions, or they want to adopt. There are a lot of options that you have today with science. So அந்த மாதிரி decisions எடுத்தாலும், how do partners come together, how do families understand it, all that is very important. So in the level of understanding and maturity irundu, when you're ready, you get married. Otherwise, if you feel marriage is too crowded and if you just want to be in partnership, that is also absolutely okay. But end of the day, being in a space where it should not feel like a burden for you. Being with someone else should not feel like, oh my god, you should look back to going to a home. To a person. Sanda potalu enna panalu, okay, I know
you
I
need that
someone,
anchor,
right?
you need that person, you need to feel that way.
Because being alone is easy. It's very, very easy. Number nanikla loneliness adun or face mala, I think we'll get used to it. But I think, like I said, as humans, we are social animals. So we need people around us. So having that partnership, nammalku enna da friends irundalum ellame adoda partnership was also very important. So adala with marriage or without marriage, it doesn't matter. But like I said, marriage is not a bad thing, or is not a thing that you need to glorify or have an identity saying kalyanam pannada.
It's not an essential milestone anymore, that you know you need to reach this point of this age and then the marriage has to happen. I think that's quite a welcome change in that respect. You touched upon independence, right? So I'm, you know, often think about independence and interdependence. You know, even in my generation, it had just started, that we were very independent human beings, but you know, we also had to go back and do our bit, you know, sort of things. So how has those dynamics changed, or how is it changing as we speak? And how does it impact relationships?
I think both are equally important in a relationship and for a person. Because நான் எப்பவுமே இண்டிபெண்டா மட்டும்தான் இருப்பேன்னு நம்ம சொல்ல முடியாது. Constantly being interdependent also might not be a good, or I don't think it would work out in the longer run, right? So having your own space where you do your own thing, where you're independent. So independence into the number relationship, it's not just financial independence. It could be anything, like your decisions on traveling, your decisions on having your own set of circle where your partner's not being involved, doing your own set of things. And the independence is important because that is a space where you keep exploring yourself,
Yeah.
where you will see world, your life in a very different way. And interdependence is also very important because that is what brings you together in your journey of relationship, right? நான் இண்டிபெண்டா மட்டும்தான் இருப்பேன், நான் இருக்கிற இண்டிபெண்டன்ஸ்க்கு என் பார்ட்னர் அடாப்ட் ஆகணும்னு நினைக்கிறதோ இல்ல we're always like this but we don't have our own space வந்து I don't know ஓவர் டைம் அது எப்படி இருக்கும்னு எனக்கு தெரியல. So I think இப்போ இருக்கிற டைம்ஸ்ல வந்து people are getting
Very
more aware of
critical
this.
to create that independent space
Yeah.
and come back
And they're
to
actually being more aware is what
Okay.
I would say. And
Okay.
the independence interdependence ரொம்ப aware இருக்கிறதுனால தான் I think people are also um, being more open to reach out for support in terms of couple counseling because they want to navigate this.
understand.
You might be at a certain space of your understanding and interdependence, but your partner may not get it, right? So making that effort to get to that midpoint, I feel people coming for couple counseling are actually putting in a lot of effort and it's very, very healthy in a relationship.
Understand.
And awareness இருக்கிறதுனால தான் they understand that okay, they need stuff that they need to work on. Awareness illana, it becomes very difficult. You're still in the same thing. You'll still keep, again, goes back to the victimhood saying, na correct, nee tappu, nee correct, na tappu, understanding that okay, something is not okay for you, something is not okay for me, but how do we find the midground? Okay, let's bring in someone who could help us, or having your own set of people where you could talk to. So awareness is that definitely. And I think இப்போ இருக்கிற times, so although we talk about situationship, dating and all of that, people are also more aware about healthy relationships. But in the generation வந்து, like I said, they know what is not okay, but what is the right thing, and all of us are still figuring it out. So that is where we have so much of options, we have so much of content that we consume. அதுல எனக்கு என்ன ஒர்க் ஆகுது, இன்னொருத்தவங்களுக்கு என்ன ஒர்க் ஆகுது, 95 பண்றதுலலாம்
there is still
little bit
the
of
journey that's
happening. Yeah.
happening. So, there is also a lot of comfort that we've started to get from friend circle, from communities that exists. And, it feels very fulfilling to the point that you don't need to go back to anybody. This is my life. So, how do you see that playing out?
I think communities of friends are places where you're independent. Right?
Okay.
It cannot replace your interdependence
with your partner.
See, there are certain things, if you say, எனக்கு என் பார்ட்னர்ட்ட ஒரு பிரச்சனை இருக்கு அப்படின்னா, there might be certain things where I find it difficult to communicate to them because I might feel I might offend them or இது ஏதாவது பிரச்சனை ஆயிடுமோ அப்படின்னு. But places like communities or friends, you talk about it openly and they help you process it. They'll help you kind of understand how you could navigate it, or them saying that I've also gone through this, or இது நீ ட்ரை பண்ணு, அதை நீ ட்ரை பண்ணுன்னு சொல்லும்போது you feel supported there, right? But I don't think interdependence or independence can be replaced by any of this. This is your space of creating your own circle, your own people for you, where you feel more comforted. But that doesn't mean having a partner could replace this, or this can replace your partnership.
Yeah. So you need to have both.
Yeah.
So we've spoken about self-love, we've spoken about family, child love, or this community love, the partner love. In today's day and age, when you run a company like this, what is the area of love that is battered most or is challenged most?
I think it's self-love for sure. ஏன்னா அதுதான் ரூட். அதை நம்ம ஃபிக்ஸ் பண்ணாம வேற எதை அட்ரஸ் பண்ணாலுமே வந்து it will be a surface level solution. In that process you understand you. So the more you understand you, like we spoke about finding your tribe earlier, you kind of attract the kind of people. So attract, it's not like magnetically right people come and fall into you. It's basically you understand
it's
okay what works for you, what doesn't work for you. You start spending more time with people who work for you, and eventually love grows in it. Again, love and other, it could be friendship, relationship, could be within family, it could be anything, right?
Thanks for that, Pooja. So now we'll move to hope. Okay. Yeah. Hope is, when we were talking about hope and all that, there's one terminology that's evolved saying toxic positivity. Like you put one green brush over everything and say, how do you define hope? How do you distinguish it from toxic positivity?
Hope I think understanding the reality and wanting to grow beyond it, adukku தேவையான strength is hope. Toxic positivity I think is being in a delusion space where you don't even acknowledge the actual scenario and just deciding to be positive. Like on the actual core acknowledge பண்ணாம ஒரு surface levelலயே ஒன்று பண்றது வந்து it's toxic positivity. Um, for example, um, people might talk about motivation posts or motivation. So being motivated is fine, it's good. But what are you being motivated from? எதுலேருந்து are you trying to work yourself out of it? அந்த கோரையும் நீங்கள் வந்து parallelly work பண்ணால் மட்டும்தான் on long run you will be motivated as a person. It can't just be like ஒரு podcast கேட்டு being motivated, ஒரு பாட்டு கேட்டு நான் motivated வந்து அன்னைக்கு டேக்கு it will help you get through it. But if you don't address what are you trying to be motivated, it could be smallest of habits, it could be smallest of incident or particular things that is happening in your life. அதை அட்ரஸ் பண்ணாமல் if you're trying to on a surface level ignore it and move forward வந்து it will always come back to you in different forms. So hope பண்றது it's a strength that you get when you want to address it and work yourself through it. Toxic positivity is kind of ignoring that whole scenario and then trying to just like move forward.
Very well explained. Yeah. Understand. We also live in times where, at least this word called manifestation didn't exist when I was growing up.
Yeah.
I think it is a lot more accepted and spoken about today. So if you can just tell me what is manifestation and how do we manifest?
I think manifestation has always been there, but
Okay.
maybe we didn't term it. இப்போ கோயில போய் சாமி கும்பிடுறோம். அங்க we very strongly believe that இன்னைக்கு நான் திருப்பதியில போய் பெருமாள்கிட்ட இது கேட்டேன்னா நடக்கும் அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு. But if you go ask Perumal for whatever blessings you want, and if you come back home and tea குடிச்சிட்டு சும்மா படுத்திருந்தா, it doesn't work, right? But when you put in that effort, it works. Older generation thought that it was because of the God, but it's actually because you were so focused on a particular vision that you want, you were working towards it, and you believe that it's going to happen, and you anyhow find opportunities that is actually going to make things happen for you. Right? It's not just going to a temple and praying. So manifestation the word appilla, but we've always had this concept of universe belief பண்ணியோ ஏதோ ஒரு விஷயத்தை கடவுளை believe பண்ணியோ வந்து we strongly believe that if I come here, if I pray, it's going to happen, and we work towards it. When you're so focused and you're working towards it, you naturally attract the opportunities or you go towards finding that opportunities. It could be அது நம்ம வந்து like I said, spirituality எடுத்துக்கலாம், இல்லை வந்து ஒரு சாமி கிட்ட போய் நான் மொட்டை போட்டதுனால எனக்கு கிடைச்சிச்சுன்னு எடுத்துக்கலாம், இல்லை இவ்வளோ அமௌண்ட் டொனேட் பண்ணேன்னு எடுத்துக்கலாம். It's just a belief system that we all have, but that's what manifestation is, right?
Right. So you tell into the universe what you want, and then parallelly you work towards it.
Yeah, otherwise it doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
நான் சும்மா எனக்கு manifest பண்ணிட்டேன், நான் வந்து journal எழுதிட்டேன், நான் வந்து gratitude practice பண்ணிட்டேன்னு சொல்லி if you don't change anything about your life to work towards what you want to become, it's not going to happen. So that doesn't mean manifestation is not working, right?
Yeah.
So, but setting that clear goal, I think is important because it gives you a direction, or you know what you want to do. You know where you want to get. So you'll have more clarity to do that.
So it's all a part of finding your purpose.
Yeah.
So doing all of this, like whether you're manifesting or whether you're journaling, then it just gives you that clarity.
Correct.
An additional clarity to where you want to be.
Correct.
And how
இன்னைக்கு வந்து if I want to start ஒரு clothing business or a restaurant business or எனக்கு அந்த clarity இருந்துச்சுன்னா, then I start meeting people with that business. And then you start learning from them. And அவங்க கிட்ட then you get connects, then you understand how to build it as a business, and then you find a real estate space, you set it up, and then you start operationally running business. You learn the whole journey of what is right, what is wrong. You find mentors for it. பட் எனக்கு இதுதான் என் பிஸ்னஸ்ன்னு கிளாரிட்டி இல்லாமல் நான் சும்மா ஓகே நான் ஒரு 100 crores பண்ணணும் அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு நான் எழுதி வச்சுட்டு but just don't put an effort towards understanding which is an industry that excites me, what is it that I want to do, it will not work out.
Understood.
So that's what manifestation is about.
Okay, beautiful. So like when you're going through deep crisis and somebody comes and tells you everything's going to be okay, you don't feel particularly good hearing that word of hope. I mean, they mean it extremely well, but you're not receiving it well.
Yeah.
So how do you not minimize, how do you not sound preachy but still give hope to somebody?
I think we're just listening most of the cases until and unless they ask you, I don't know what else to do, abdina, then you can offer.
Understood.
The moment you jump and say எனக்கு நானும் I've been through this, நான் பாரு இன்னைக்கு நல்லா தான் இருக்கேன், you hold on to it, have hope, do this, do that and சொன்னா it's very frustrating.
None of it is needed actually, right?
Not needed. I don't think people want solutions until and unless they ask for it. They just want a space to listen, they want to feel heard. they just want to feel supported in ways like that. They don't want solutions. They don't want money from you. They don't want immediate. They'll ask. They'll come and tell you that, hey, I'm coming to you because I'm going through this. Can you give me money? I'm coming to you because I feel stuck. Can you tell me what you did? Or do you know someone that I can reach out to? They're just coming and telling you something. It's just because they want to tell you and they want you to listen to you, not for you to immediately use your experience and say that இதெல்லாம் ஒன்றும் இல்லை நானும் கோத்ரூ பண்ணியிருக்கேன். இப்போ யாராவது டிவோர்ஸ் கோத்ரூ பண்ணுறவங்க என்கிட்ட வந்து பேசும்போது இதெல்லாம் ஒன்றும் இல்லை 5 வருஷம் கழிச்சு பாருங்க ஐம் ஃபைன் அப்படின்னு சொன்னால் at that point they will feel neglected. My intention might be right. My intention is to give them hope. Is for me to tell them that life is not getting over. There's so much that's going to happen. But at that point it might feel very heavy. 5 வருஷம் நான் வெயிட் பண்ணுமா 3 வருஷம் வெயிட் பண்ணுமா or they might also feel like you had this so easily எனக்கு அப்படி கிடையாது அந்த மாதிரி ஒரு கம்பேரிசனுக்கு போயிடுவாங்க. So just listening is the best way of giving them hope until unless they ask you for help, or you can ask them, do you want me to do something for you? Whenever they're ready, they would come back to you, checking in on them. இப்போ உனக்கு வந்து நான் உங்ககிட்ட ஒரு 2 hours பேசிட்டு போயிருக்கேன் அப்படின்னா அப்பப்போ just sending a message or call பண்ணி just checking சொன்னாலே போதும். You don't have to do anything beyond that.
Understood. Yeah. So in a mental health world, what is hope? How would you define hope, Pooja?
I think hope is finding strength now. Finding strength for you to accept what you're going through today and looking for a light. To look for a light, number light irukunu yosikkalam illa ivlodhaandadu yosikkalam. For you to find that strength to think that okay, there's something beyond this is hope. Hope under vandu it could be a feeling, it could be your child, it could be a partner, it could be நீங்க ப்ரே பண்ற கடவுளா இருக்கலாம். But finding that hope is very important, or the purpose for you to feel like okay, I want to get through this is very very important for us, and it could be very different for different people. அதனால தான் சொல்றேன், like when you talk to someone, that could be something that you say நம்மளுக்கே தெரியாது அது எந்த மாதிரி ஒரு இம்பாக்ட் இருக்கும். இப்போ நீங்க பண்ற பாட்காஸ்டா இருக்கலாம், அதுல நீங்க பேசுற ஒரு விஷயம் could actually make someone feel hopeful. Your intent could be about talking something about say business, something about anything else, but then one word that you might have used or your guest might have used can actually give someone else hope. So adanalda being very conscious about what you say, what you speak, how you treat people is very very important. You can't always be perfect. You will have your days where you just like maybe put someone down or but going back and just apologizing or going back and just being nice to another person, that's something we should do. So hope is strength for me. Hope is something that helps you get through whatever you're going through, and it's important that you find the hope. At that point, more than finding a solution, it's important for you to find a hope. Illana, it's just a very thin line for you to make it or break its odds at that point of time.
Understood. Sometimes there's a long stagnation, you get to a point of improvement and then there is a plateau. For the next improvement takes a very very long time. So how do you stay motivated in that period?
I don't think you can be motivated. I think you'll go to that dip, and on the dip ponadukku appuram again you'll feel like okay, I can't be here. Inge irundha romba difficult. So
tirumbi you'll have to rework yourself.
It's a work in progress. I don't think you will ever feel like okay, I've made it. This is what I want to be for the rest of my life. You will always have instances coming. I was actively on therapy for a year. I stopped therapy for 2 years. I restarted therapy now with a very different therapist. So but the kind of support that I want today is different from what I wanted 2 years ago.
Understood.
I'm not talking about the past incidences, or that is not the space I want support. Today I want support as an entrepreneur. Today I want support as a working mother trying to figure out, because en ponnu valarra so avaloda time enakku vandu 10 mani. So my conversations are very different today. But point is, you'll always have places where you feel like you want to get better, you want to do better. And that's going to be a never-ending journey. And I think that is what growth is also about, right?
Yeah.
So, I think it's a work in progress.
Do you have any closing, thoughts about the Love Hope company? What your future plan is for the company, and a message for the V-Women.
So I think through Love Hope company, we just want to keep parting as much as life. We want numbers in Mandir. I don't have luck over the convent, not restricting or setting a benchmark for the growth, but we want to be authentic to what we do. We want to keep creating the impact that we do.
and creating spaces for people in whatever ways possible. A therapy article, communities, kids foundation article. Tomorrow, there could be multiple other branches that we want to create. But intent is very strong, and the purpose is very strong, and so I think that is what Love will continue to do. Like, create a good space for people where they feel empowered, where they feel they can grow, where they feel they can heal, where they feel they can just come be. எல்லாருமே வந்து growth நோக்கி தான் just be wherever they are. So this will be a space that I want to create through Love as long as I can. And in general, for people, I think we should not take life too seriously. Just let whatever is meant to be happen and experience not just the good parts of it, the bad, ugly, painful, happy, exciting, all the parts of life. Embracing all our experiences and shutting down from noises as much as possible. And like we spoke throughout the podcast, loving myself so you could get better to the world and make this world much more livable and happier.
Beautiful, Pooja. Wishing you good luck, Pooja.
Thank you.
All the very best on everything. Thank you so much for doing this for us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for listening to yet another wonderful episode from VWP. It gives us enormous pleasure to create this content for you. If you enjoyed listening to the conversation, please hit the subscribe button and do let us know your favorite moments from the conversation. We would also love to hear if you have any guest recommendations for us. Of course, please don't miss our shorts section where we have our favorite moments compiled in bite-sized formats for you. So keep listening, keep growing, and do subscribe to the We Women Project. This is your host, signing off. Thank you.